super excited to be recording this particular episode. It's been about 6, 7 months since we put out a new episode, and for me, during this period that I was recording, I was getting several messages like from people in the UAE, in the UK, in the US, and it was pretty much interesting because I didn't know this number of people listen to the podcast. There were some people that were reaching out, and I was surprised. I'm like, okay, you also listen to the podcast? I'm like, yeah, you haven't released an episode in a long while. We're waiting for another episode. So for me, I'm super excited to be back and recording this particular episode. But let me just fill you on why I decided to really put out an episode, because the plan with the team was to put out an episode in July, which is in line with our 1 year anniversary. We're turning one in July, and we're hoping that we're going to release another episode in July. But this will actually happen. So I'm sitting at the airport waiting for my flight, and then another person reaches out, and the person's asking, "When are you going to put out another episode?" And at that point, I'm like, let's just do this. So we decided that we're going to put out one episode in June, and then we'll put out the rest of the episodes in July. So this is for you. This is basically letting you know that we're back. This is just to break the ice, and then ahead of our 1 year anniversary in July. So keep your fingers crossed for that. There's so many updates for you guys. The team has been up to a lot, and in subsequent episodes, we'll fool you on those episodes. So welcome to all of you. Welcome back. We're excited to be back. And if you're listening for the first time, this is the Tea Time Global podcast. My name is Daniel, and I'm the host of the podcast. And for those who are usual listeners or regular listeners, sorry for keeping you waiting. We're back, and we promise we're not going to go back. We're not going to go on hibernation again. It's just that there were so many things we're working on, and it wasn't quite practical to do it side by side, because the things we were working on needed our full attention, and that's how come we've not released any other episode in about 6 or 7 months. So basically, that's basically it, and we would go in right into episode 7. So we'll do our usual introduction, and this how it goes. Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm a banker turned entrepreneur. I'm a leader, and I'm the host of the Tea Time Global podcast. Yes, I'm sure you noticed, if you're a regular listener, you noticed that the introduction has changed a little bit. Yes, I left my banking career to pursue entrepreneurship, and I'll fill you on that in subsequent episodes. But for today, this is actually what happened. Let me tell you this. This is actually what happened. So I actually decided on what I was going to record or talk about on episode 7. And just when I was about to record, something just hit me, and I really trust my instinct a lot. I'm like, you know what? I'm not talking about this, and that's why I decided to choose this particular subject. And I know that there's somebody out there who needs to listen to this particular episode. There's somebody out there who, at this point in time, needs to hear these words, and there's a reason I'm putting this out. So share it to your friends and family. You never know who needs this, or maybe you yourself need this. So just stay and listen through till the end, and you can share your feedback with us via our social media handles. So for episode 7, I want to basically talk about recess, reset, and rebound. Recess, reset, and rebound. And the reason I'm talking to you about this is I would first share a story with you. During the latter part of 2023, I started to do an introspection and basically reflecting on what my purpose is, the kind of impact I want to make, and generally what I thought I found more fulfilling. And in this period, I realized that I really, really loved the job I was doing. I was in banking. I really loved the job I was doing, and I loved the colleagues around me. I liked the atmosphere. I liked everything about my job. But then I realized that I wanted to spend the next couple of years doing something different. I wanted to be making more impact in a different aspect. I wanted to be doing um, different things. And for me, this brings me to the first thing I want to talk about, which is recess. There's so many things that are going on, and sometimes it's hard to basically take time to reflect and also reflect. And I shared this earlier this year with my LinkedIn community, where I said that sometimes all you need to do is just make time to sit still and do nothing. You need that peace and quiet where nothing is distracting you, where you're not busy, where there's nothing really going on, and just to sit down and reflect on all that you've been doing and reflect on your purpose and ask yourself what really your purpose is, and if you are living your purpose at this moment, and what a fulfilling life really means to you. And the duration of this recess in terms of time might vary. For somebody, it might be 30 minutes. For somebody, it might be an hour. For somebody, it might be days or months or a year. It doesn't really matter. But the most important thing is that you are making time to be able to sit down and reflect upon your life and ask yourself if you're actually living your purpose. And for me, when I did this, I realized that I needed to take a break. That's leave my banking career and pursue other things which would bring me more fulfillment. And that's when I realized that I needed to go into entrepreneurship and start running and building my own businesses and starting the companies I've always dreamed of starting. And I would say that it was the most difficult decision I had to make because, like I mentioned, I really love my job, but I realized that when I took time to really sit down and do the introspection, I know and realized that I needed to leave at this point in time. And for you, it might mean something else. It might not necessarily mean that you need to leave your job, but the most important thing is that you sit down to feel your internal vibrations and ask yourself if this is what I want to be doing at this point in time, or how differently should I do it? And if you sit down to sit still and reflect, you take that recess period, you realize that it would come to you. You'd feel it inside you that this is what I want to do. Either I want to continue what I'm doing currently, or I need to leave and start something else. I need to just do things differently. And after recess, you need to reset. And that's the next thing I want to talk to you about, where you rewire yourself. And for me, I'd never had an experience basically running a business. This whole entrepreneurship thing is new to me. And I needed to reset my brain and basically think differently because after university, all I've known is the corporate world. I've been working in corporate in terms of banking throughout since I left university. I've never ventured into anything new. I've not started anything new. And here I am venturing into the bleak world of entrepreneurship. And you hear a lot of people say it's very difficult. People enter, they start, and then they fail at it. And you hear all these stories and you're asking yourself, is this what I want to do at this point in time? And then you decide that, yes, I want to do this, but you need to basically reset your thinking to really in sync with the decision you've actually made. And for me, this was my reset period, where sometimes you wake up in the morning asking yourself, "Am I unemployed?" Because you wake up and you're your own boss. You set your own schedules. You do not really take instructions from anybody, and you're building everything from scratch. So sometimes you wake up and there's basically nothing to do, and you realize there's a thin line between being unemployed and being employed, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship. And all of these things, you need time to reset your brain. And there are times when I'll meet somebody and I'm trying to introduce myself and I'm fumbling because I'm not too sure whether to introduce myself as Daniel the banker or Daniel the entrepreneur because I just left my job and there was still some getting used to. But all of this was during the reset period, and I just woke up one morning, walked into a bookstore, and got a couple of books on entrepreneurship leadership and I just started reading. I just started digging and getting information. And after this period, I just realized that I was ready to do this. And I just went out there and said, you know what, now I'm Daniel the entrepreneur. And that's how it's been for me. And for you, it might not be necessarily starting your own business, but it might mean something else to you. But basically, just you looking at things from a very different perspective. Basically, you just being optimistic about what you're doing. So even you can be in your current job, but then looking at things differently, trying to do things differently and just being hopeful about the future is all during this reset period, inculcating a morning routine into your schedule, all of these things. And you realize that you'd be more happier about what you're doing, even though it's the same thing you're doing, you wake up happier and um, do wanting to go out there and then make impact because you've resetted your mind and then you're looking at things from a very hopeful and optimistic point of view. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is rebound. Basically, you coming out stronger after you have gone through the reset phase, coming back better, coming back revitalized, coming back showing the new you and ready to make impact. And at that point, I was ready to announce to everybody that, I'm Daniel, the ex-banker. I'm into entrepreneurship now, and this is what I'm doing, talking about my business. And in subsequent episodes, I'll tell you what we're doing, what I've been up to in terms of businesses, the businesses I've been able to start, and the progress we've made. And I was ready to basically tell everybody about it. Like, I was just going on and on telling like the impact I want to make in terms of policies, stuff like that. And I realized that it just felt different. I just felt happier. Like anytime I was talking about the businesses and what we want to do and the kind of impact we want to make, I was just super excited. And even though I was just starting out and I hadn't yet seen a bigger picture, every day I got closer to knowing how I wanted the story to be like. And I can assure you that if you go through this phase, that you'd get closer to the life you want to be. Every single day, the picture will get clearer. And for me, every single day that comes, I see the picture clearer, even more clearer. And I realize that I'm super excited about what the future has in store for me and the people that I want to influence. So I'm excited, super excited about it for you too. I hope that we'll work hand in hand and we'll go through this entire journey together. And that's the whole purpose of Tea Time Global, to build an active community where we support each other, we share our stories. And in July, when we have our first anniversary, I'll bring several of my friends on board to share our stories and inspire you too. And I can assure you that you should be rest assured that we would walk hand in hand, hold our hands together, and walk through this. So I'm super excited for you. Go out there, rebound, and make impact. So, folks, that's all for episode 7 on the Tea Time Global podcast. This is just the icebreaker to let you know we're back fully and expect more from us. Do not forget to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And we're building, like I mentioned, we're building a community. So get involved. Until the next episode, see you. Cheers.